He stared at Omri in silence for a few seconds. "Good," he said maddeningly, and shut the door in his face. "Are you crazy?" Omri called through the door. Gilon had come out and was standing next to him. "He said good," Omri told him indignantly. "Ask him if he's crazy." "I just have." "Are you crazy?" Gilon shouted at the top of his voice through the door. "Boys, stop that row. That's enough. Come down and we'll talk about it," came their father's irritated voice from the foot of the stairs. Omri and Gilon trailed down and back into the breakfast room. After a few minutes, Adiel, looking studiedly unconcerned, joined them. "Now then, listen first, then blow your tops, okay? This house, due to a fluke in the housing market, is suddenly worth a lot of money." "How much?" said Gilon, for whom money was the most important thing in life. "A lot more than we paid for it, just because it's in London, and lots of people, whom I can only regard as totally insane, want to live in London. And at the precise moment when we were thinking of selling anyway," put in their mother eagerly, "something really wonderful has happened. I've inherited a lovely house." "Inherited? Does that mean we get it for nothing?" "Yes! Isn't it incredible?" "But what's it like? Have you seen it?" "Well, no, not yet, but it sounds beautiful. Not as big as this one." "What?" all the boys, even Adiel, yelled in chorus. "But that won't matter," put in their father quickly, "because we will not be surrounded on all sides by this stinking, overcrowded, crime-ridden city where you can't snatch a breath of clean air or walk 10 yards without being mugged. Lionel, there's no need to exaggerate. None of us has ever been mugged, or at least tripping over litter, and we will live in peace and safety and beauty in a much nicer, if somewhat smaller house with much more land, and we'll have a better life. Now what on this polluted earth, may I ask, is wrong with that?" Silence. Then Adiel said, "Sounds okay to me. Only where would we go to school?" Their father and mother gave each other a little married look. Their father cleared his throat and said, "Well, what would you say to boarding?" He was looking only at Adiel when he said it, and Adiel didn't flinch. But Gilon gave a great screech and fell off his chair onto the floor, where he lay spread-eagled and twitching. "Oh, get up," said his mother, hauling on one arm. "You clown. He didn't mean you." Gilon sat up sharply. "He didn't? Why not? Aren't I good enough to go to boarding school?" "No," said Adiel. "At boarding school you're not only expected to work, you have to keep your room tidy. You'd be kicked out in a week." Gilon uttered a short word under his breath and slumped back onto the floor. From there he said, "Suppose we couldn't have a dog." "A dog?" exclaimed Omri. "What about Kitzer?" Kitzer was his cat. "It would eat her," said Gilon cheerfully. "Bit of a laugh, eh?" He sat up again. "It'd be good. We might get a Rottweiler, and then it would eat you too." "What we might actually get," remarked their mother, "is a pony." The boys all looked at one another in bewilderment. None of them had ever shown the faintest interest in riding. Only for Omri did the idea of a horse have any associations. But they were very pleasant ones. He said slowly, "That might be all right. I wouldn't mind that." "Are you crazy? You've never even sat on a horse," said Gilon. "I'd like to, though," said Omri. His vision of the country as a barren wilderness devoid of all entertainment blurred a little, and out of the mist rode a familiar figure, an American Indian, seated astride a strong, alert brown pony, with his hand raised in stern greeting. He cocked one buckskin-clad leg over the pony's neck and slid to the ground, where he stood knee-deep in lush English grass. What was odd was, in Omri's vision, he was the same size as Omri. Well, bigger, obviously, because he was a man. The odd thing about this was that Omri had only ever seen him small. But often in Omri's night and daydreams, he appeared full size. Now, in the daydream, the Indian made a stirrup of both hands and gestured with his head. Without hesitating, Omri ran up to him, put his left foot in the hands, and felt himself lifted. A moment later, he was on the pony's warm back. It felt terrific. He looked down at the Indian, his friend, and the Indian narrowed his black eyes at him approvingly and gestured with both fists. Omri understood him instantly and echoed that squeezing movement with his legs. The pony started forward. "What are you grinning?"